Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons!
We're crazy size now. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you can hear and see us. I need to change the box sizes because OBS has been really pissing me off lately. So welcome to TFYLP. Tonight is Wednesday, March, 75th, something like that. This is episode 376,924 of TFYLP. Or again, maybe it's 521st episode. I don't know. This doesn't matter what episode it is. Yeah. Hi, my name's Phil. Thanks for joining us tonight. If there are audio issues or anything of that sort, just yell in the chat. I am joined tonight by Peter. Am I reading that right?
Forever Dustron.
Did I say that right? Peter, is that how we pronounce it?
Peter.
Yes. Okay. Good. And then we've also got Anna. Okay.
Not Anna. Anna.
And then finally the gentleman, the clean shaven guy with the stripy shirt, Christian.
What up?
Yes. All right. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Our topic is going to be, has anyone seen Lucas? Please, God, bring Lucas back. I can't run the show without Lucas. So if you've seen Lucas, please put it in the chat. I appreciate that.
He sent me a picture of him being happy family and living a happy life.
Okay. I mean, that sounds good.
We want to prevent that, right? So that he can run the show for us.
Right. This is not about Lucas and enjoying time with his family. This is about the show and making sure it works. And I have managed to screw it up multiple times. Our actual topic tonight is new toys. They come out. We buy them. But then we also have old toys. Sometimes those new toys are the same character of an old toy. So what do you do with the old toy? That's a big question. Do you keep said old toy? Do you sell said old toy? Do you give said old toy to a small child that you come across in a random parking lot? These are all options that are viable. I don't recommend all of them, but they all exist. So
They all exist.
Yeah. Let's
I have heard
start.
people say really, like, for some reason, when people say, like, oh, I got the new toy and I took the old toy and threw it in Toys for Tots, for some reason that makes me really uncomfortable. I don't know why. It's just like something about donating our collectibles just feels off to me. Really
Toys
weird.
for Tots doesn't take unwrapped things.
Not typically,
They
no.
don't take
You can
loose.
throw them in the bin.
You could throw them in the bin and then they will go to the trash can.
Right, which
Don't
maybe
do
that's
that.
why I feel sad, because I think about that part. I think about the trash can.
They could go to Goodwill.
They could go to Goodwill.
Yeah.
They could go to Goodwill.
They should not go to Salvation Army. We do not support them here.
It just feels like a bad fate for a collectible to end up
It
at one
does.
of those stores, though. But then it's me, like, giving anthropomorphizing my collectibles. Like, they're going to be sad as they sit on the shelf at Goodwill and get bought by the wrong person.
I was going to say, you've seen Toy Story too many times.
Apparently.
What's really cool about this topic is that I did the wrong homework because I thought we were doing a different topic.
Oh, good.
But we discussed this Monday, when we didn't get Monday to work, that we were switching topics.
I took it as like, hey, that's a potential thing we could talk about sometime.
Okay.
That's
So
how
did
I
you
took
think we
that.
were still talking about Earthspark?
I did, yeah.
No
Okay.
spoilers.
But
No
then
spoilers.
I also put in the text chain for tonight of what our topic was.
You know, I don't follow that.
Okay.
I'm just over here in my own world.
All right, that's fair.
I mean, I asked you what the topic was as recently as like an hour ago, Phil. I did not know myself because I didn't stick around in the chat last time.
That's
But
right.
anyway, doesn't matter. What matters is that we're here to discuss this topic.
Yeah.
And I think you can talk about this topic just fine, Christian, because like perhaps you're not contemplating ones like I am, where it's like, you know, an old toy that I liked, not wanting to replace it with the new character. Like Warpath is an excellent example of that. I love this generation's Warpath. He's great. And I thought he was really cool for years. He doesn't really look like the cartoon Warpath, so I understand why so many people were able to just be like, okay, I'm going to get the new one. But this toy is cooler in a lot of ways. Like, it just looks neater as a robot. He looks like a big, mean something from like 90s mecha anime, and I like it. So I keep him. And for some reason, you know, I didn't repurpose him in my mind to a new character. I just said, this is my Warpath. Screw cartoon accurate Warpath. I'm not going to have one. This is just him. Which isn't something I usually do, right? Usually I try to upgrade or something, I guess.
So what do you do normally then, Anna? If you normally upgrade, then what is the next step?
What is the next step? That's the hard step, right? Because you could keep your old toy and say that it's a different person, or just have two of that guy in your collection, which a lot of people do, right? A lot of people bin their old stuff. They just go, oh, it's the old toy, I'm gonna bin it. I'm a non-binner. If I've ever shared that on the show, if I can't put it on the shelf, it needs to be sold, because I have a finite amount of display space. But yeah, you can keep it and put it in bin. You can keep it and put it on the shelf. You can eat it. You've got all these options.
You guys keep talking about options as if all of them are valid, and they're not, I'm telling you.
We not say
Oh.
She did not say it's a valid option. She just said it is an option.
Now,
Well-
are any of the options that we're listing off that are not jokes valid or invalid, Christian?
No.
Okay.
Several negatives there, so I had to
Sorry.
think about one. Okay, I thought of a thing, and I don't know that I have a hard and fast rule about what to do when new versions of Dudes come out. But what I can say is I still have my Generations cup, the comic styled pickup truck one, because I got the iGear head, and that's my Wreckers cup. He hangs out with all my other Wreckers dudes. But when Titans Return came out, I got that one, and I sold that one to get the LG, and I sold the LG to get Studio Series, and I sold the Studio Series to get the better Studio Series. And I feel like I'm done with Cup. So I
You
kind of
got
think
incremental.
yeah, I did get incremental, but I never got rid of that original one because it's a different form. Like it's very clearly rooted to be that version of that character to me, not to everybody. I don't know, but he specifically hangs out over with the Wreckers, and the other one hangs out with the movie guys, and that's where they hang out.
So along those lines, Christian, Paul brought up something interesting in the chat, and he says he keeps all his old toys to show the lineage. The process from initial attempt to modern execution is breathtaking in real life. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's breathtaking, but there is some fun in seeing the evolution of the engineering in, you know, when you do that.
I agree
sort
with
of
that.
thing. Yeah.
It's fun to watch the engineering like devolve into hollow chunkiness.
But then come back.
All
right.
So Peter just lost in his own thought there. Yeah, I mean, we could probably do an episode of like what is the peak time frame of Transformers. You know, when
But
did
I think
Transformers
some of that
peak?
conversation is built into this, right? Like,
Yeah.
because one, I really want to go back to Peter's thought, but I did want to push Christian on something real fast because I really want to see his thoughts on this. One that I think is going to rock a bunch of people and really make them reconsider is this guy when we get a new accurate Sandstorm, because this guy has been a fantastic figure in many, many people's collections for years now. That's just kind of there, but he doesn't really look that much like the original toy. right? Or character or anything. He's just kind of his own thing, which is fun from a fun perspective, but what happens to this guy when a Sandstorm that actually looks like Sandstorm comes out?
And you're asking me that question?
Yeah, well, everyone, but I was focusing on you to be a poop hag because I know you like this toy too.
It's one of my very favorite toys of all time. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I was just going into my side room to try and find my Springer. That's the same, same basic toy. I would put both of those as toys that I don't ever really want to replace. Now, you could make the argument that Springer is IDW style Springer, and therefore he has a special sort of place because Christian, kind of like you think about Cup, there is a specific look that he's going for, and therefore you wouldn't replace it. So I would say there's a couple ways you could look at this. Could you say that there is, a version of a character that looks like a specific thing, and therefore you don't want to get rid of it? But what about, classic Starscream versus Earthrise Starscream?
You guys have seen my Seeker wall.
Not
recently.
Up
at the new place yet,
okay.
But yeah, I have all those classics molds still because I think they look good displayed together that way. I can never get rid of them. I don't think.
That is hard for you.
I put so much time and effort into getting all of those that getting rid of them would just I couldn't do it.
That's a piece of art, though. That's different from displaying them as a display piece. Like, here are my Seekers. This is like, look at how I've formed all of these different, rainbow colors of this mold. I've sought them out and I've mounted them appropriately. Your particular set of Seekers have transcended normal collection.
We all really like that, Christian. That's really cool. I like it when people get creative like that. Like I know Catherine's talked about putting Insecticons in shadow boxes like they do in Stacks before, and I think that would be really cool to have them displayed like that.
I really appreciate that you guys like that, because it was born out of, I won't say necessity, but it was just something that around the Titans Kingdom, no, Power of the Prime's time, we started getting different Seekers, and not the Power of the Prime Seeker, but like stuff started happening. It was like, the classics guys don't fit this display anymore. So can I do something new with them that will look better? That will look neat. That will be a me thing. And I did. It was cool. I gotta think of a new way to set it up now, though, because I don't want to put that many pinholes in my beautifully new painted walls.
Makes sense.
Apartment walls, who cares? I own these walls. They're amazing. So
there are folks who have the one per character rule, and they don't care about the scale or the theme or the class or whatever, and that's cool. There are folks that collect characters. We've seen it, They like, I want all the Ultra Magnuses or all the Infernos, or just collect molds. Like, a lot of people really appreciate that Cloud Rodimus Springery Sandstormy mold. It's a lot of fun. And it was really versatile. We were able to get a lot of cool stuff out of it. But there were definite waves when you mentioned, Christian, moving into the Prime Wars trilogy era. Mm-hmm. Suddenly the Thrilling 30 Generations Universe 2.0 classic stuff was like, it didn't fit. It didn't fit. It didn't work. The engineering was different. The sizes were different. The adherence to whether it's slavish comic accuracy or just a whole new, like that cup, a whole new whatever. Let's do it. That all changed. It all shifted. So there have been several opportunities in the last, God, it's almost been 20 years now. The last 17, 18 years since the classics stuff has been coming out that fans have had a chance to jump on or bail or replace whole waves of characters. The 84 guys have been done over and over and over. 84, 85, 86. to varying degrees of success. 87 guys, 88 guys, not so much love there. 88, 89, 90. But we're now getting 91 love, which is bizarre. Well, I'll take it. But there have been opportunities for everyone to bail on their characters and bail on those toys that just don't quite fit. Classics Bumblebee being, for me, a primary offender. He was too big in Classics. I didn't like him. The deco was wrong. The transformation was wrong. Why did he have a jet ski instead of the helipack? Why didn't they homage the things appropriately? What's going on with these arm panels? I can list complaints, but I was, nitpicking. I was 40 years old back then, and now I'm 35. So I've had plenty of time to sit and stew on Classics Bumblebee, and then they just kept pushing him. And then we had the Legends class, then we had the other Legends class, then we had the other Legends class, then we had the other Deluxe class, then we had the other Deluxe class, and then we had a bunch more. None of them have been right. For me, but I have replaced my bumblebees in my display umpteen times because they are incrementing me. Yeah, this one's this much better. That one, okay, I'll pass on that one. I'm gonna get it anyway because I have brain damage. But okay, right now I have the Netflix one, which is the best mold, best look in my opinion, but the deco is wrong. They're gonna get me. They're gonna get me at least one more time. Before
I was
they give
sitting
us.
down looking at that one recently, and I just had that realization when I was looking at Heaven Robot Mode. I was just like, wait, crap, this still isn't right. That still doesn't look enough like Bumblebee. There's still a way
It's
to
close.
go
It's
to get him to look
close-ish.
more like Bumblebee. Damn it.
It's close-ish.
Can I jump in at this point real quickly? Because I'll tell you
No.
something that I really like to do when a new version of a character comes out. I really enjoy it when there's another character that uses the same mold, because then I can hold on to the mold and replace one of the characters. So in this case, if we get a new, better mainline Bumblebee, I really, really enjoy the Buzzworthy multi-pack Gold Bug, and I would probably hold on to the multi-pack Gold Bug and upgrade the Netflix Bumblebee to some new mainline Bumblebee if it's that incremental better that we're hoping to get. So
Or you've got Hubcap.
Yeah, well, no, Hubcap's the difference. Hubcap's not the Beetle.
Oh, true.
Right.
If
Right,
you want to
right.
keep the Beetle, you only have two options.
Exactly. So that's something I do appreciate with that. And there are a couple molds that are almost gone from my display, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like that mold, and I've gotten rid of almost all the characters that are of that mold or replaced them. So I'm pausing on some of that, not sure what I want to do.
That's why I still have Universe 2, Hardhead, Skyjack, and Stormcloud. Because we've gotten better versions of Silverbolt and Onslaught and Powerglide. Gosh, Powerglide. But not those guys. Well, there's better Hardhead, but that Hardhead is so off anything else, and it's just weird, and I love it.
Yeah.
I got the head
Looks
robots
like-
kit for that Hardhead, and it really made that mold pop.
I didn't like the head robot kit. But that's me. I like it just as it is. It's kind of bulkhead-ish. It's kind of hardhead-ish. It's kind of frightening with the full painted shield with the Decepticon kill count. Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think we got around that time, we got a lot of unique sort of takes on characters. Like the one mold I was just thinking of is Scourge that we got where he's the stealth bomber. So I've sold my Scourge, but I still have my Rat Bat. I still have my Takara Rat Bat. And I'm just looking at well, I've got the MMC Rat Bat, Senator Rat Bat, and that's basically the same type of toy. Do I still want to keep this Senator Rat Bat from the Scourge mold? And
shout out to Representative Wing Thing. I still want that.
Yeah.
Me too. I would buy that so hard.
And I think my
Serpento
answer, yes, that's my answer. It's an expensive answer because I don't own it, and to get that would be quite pricey.
I had that and sold that instantly. It was great.
I mean, it's a
You don't
cool
care about G.I.
character.
Joe.
I don't care about snake terrorists. Sorry.
That might be the best execution of a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover now that I think of it.
Oh, whatever.
It 100% is.
Yeah.
Bumble Striker's beautiful, guys. So good.
I didn't like that mold for anything though, and that's a me thing. I mean, I guess it all comes down to preference in the end. But yeah, I think I don't have any of those left. Do I have DevCon maybe still? Maybe I can finally get rid of him soon. So, yay.
I think Bill pointed out something that has like kind of hit me in the last couple of years, because I always talked about like trying to do one per character on a lot of things, but I've realized like I think I care more about playing with the toys when it comes to Transformers than I do collecting the characters. So I think really my rule before I started overthinking it was always one per mold. Like I wanted to have all the molds I enjoyed playing with and owning. And I really didn't care about anyone except for like having certain characters matters to me, but not every character actually has a whole lot of influence on me. So I don't really care that much about owning, say Sandstorm, right? Like I really don't have any attachment to any version of this character or the original toy or anything, but I love this action figure and playing with it and having it, and the engineering and everything is really cool. So I think one per mold is actually a better rule for me going forward than trying to do one per character. I don't even know if it's always a rule, because like two characters I adore could both be in the same mold. Like, if they actually repeated that Bumblebee mold into Glyph, obviously I'm going to have both Bumblebee and Glyph, right? But anywho, I just think it's been something for me to kind of realize, is that I'm less concerned with upgrading the characters as I am just having all the toys that really impress me.
I know
Sorry,
Rob
I said a
was
lot.
sticking. Oh no, that's fine. Rob was sticking to the one sample of each mold for years. He did that, and that was his rule for selling things off. Was I can sell this, and this because I have this mold over here. And he was using the BotCon stuff for a long time, the older BotCon stuff, obviously, as like these are the final versions of these molds that I'm going to hang on to. But I think he's broken with that even in the last couple of years. And I mean, it's a space thing too. We're all limited on space.
Yeah, it's a rule that makes a lot of sense. You get to experience a lot of stuff.
I like what you said earlier, Christian, about your Wrecker's shelf. Because I too have a Wrecker's shelf. Well, it's not set up. Obviously, my place is a mess. But there's a Wrecker's shelf. There's a More Than Meets the Eye shelf. And that way I can make excuses in my head and in my display to display different versions of repeat characters at times. I'm going to have two different Overlords. I'm going to have, a couple different Star Sabers. I'm going to, people repeat multiple Cyclonuses. And, it works for me.
Here's one that could cause a bit of a quandary. I just got this, but I have animated Prowl and Samurai Prowl. So did I need a new animated Prowl? And to me, this is not the same dude, but this is like a version of that dude in a G1 like continuity. And that's a different form, different person, different character.
Call him Wheel Arch and throw him in your More Than Meets. It's Wheel Arch. Throw him in the More Than Meets the Eye shelf.
I like Spring R better.
Okay.
So his wave mate, though, this is Crosscut, and this is not just me flexing. I'm thinking about these things because I just got them, and whatever. We got a Crosscut in Thrilling 30. He was from the IDW Skids mold, and I don't have anything against that toy. I kind of like it better than the American Skids, but do I need two Crosscuts? Probably not. I'm not that big a fan of him. He's neat. I'm glad to have him. But this fits everything else I'm doing now. And that's, Peter, we talked about the shifts a little bit ago. That's kind of what's happened to me in the last couple of years, that especially once Earthrise started, a little bit of Siege, but we all know I have anger against Siege. So once Earthrise started, it was like, these are the versions that I've been waiting for all this time. And ever since then, that's what I've been doing. I don't display my Thrilling 30 stuff anymore. I occasionally feature some of like the Unicron trilogy or other places when lines were unique things, not just continuations of G1 stuff over and over again. I'll rotate those out in feature. But like my big mass display, my magnum opus, I guess, is the new classics. That's what I'm going for. And so this new crosscut fits that, where the Thrilling 31 doesn't really fit that anymore.
This one stands up too, unlike the Thrilling 31, which tips over when you look at it across
Fair point.
pages.
I did buy. Do you guys remember that? I guess they weren't microns or minicons, but the campaign, not minicons, that came out from Age of Extinction, the clear roller. I grabbed one of those to go with crosscut to be clutch. So now I'm going to move that guy to this guy, and it'll be clutch again. He'll move forward. That's easier for me to do, though. It's a tiny thing. He's not really a character, more of an accessory. So you move those things forward, but the figure itself, he'll probably go get sold.
So, I mean, it is, I think, been a big inflection point, Christian, when you talk about Earthrise and what that's done in terms of people's decision making on this sort of stuff. I think you had a little bit during the Combiner Wars trilogy where you had, all right, you had especially some of the mini bots where it's like, okay, you got a sea spray there. Now that was legend scale. If they do a deluxe sea spray like they've been doing deluxes for a lot of those mini bots, you know, that'll be a decision I have to make. Now my hunt for Decepticon sea spray, that I won't get rid of. That is unique.
Different
that is
dude.
Different. You could argue if it's a different dude or not, but to me that's unique enough. You know, I think it was interesting. Like once we started into the Combiner Wars and the Netflix trilogy stuff, now you had direct trying to redo G1 characters in G1 style. Like prior to that, you can go from Robots in the Skies to Armada to Energon to Cybertron to Animated to Prime, and you can get the same character over and over again in all those different lines. But it was like, oh, this is different aesthetic, different
But they're
play
different.
pattern.
Yeah.
And so you know, it was you know, okay, I got like 5 primes and 7 hot shots. That's okay because they're all different and they're kind of cool. Now it's not that. Now it's, and I think like there's 2 poster children I look at for this. Rhinox, Kingdom Rhinox versus Thrilling 30 Rhinox. And then Earthrise Ironhide versus Studio Series Ironhide. Those are 2 big ones.
So I want to visit that for a second because it's kind of implicit to a lot of what Christian and I've been saying is we get the new one, we replace the old one, we sell the old one, and we do okay selling the old one, right? We get like a decent amount of money back on it, and it's not that hard to do because selling Transformers compared to most other collectibles are actually pretty easy to sell. So it's a nice experience. This asshole Ironhide has tried to make that experience suck by getting far too many figures, far too fat. Because I've had them all, right? Like I was excited to get cool new Siege Ironhide. And then when he got in Earth mode, I was like, okay, gotta replace it. I managed to sell 2 copies of that Ironhide with very little struggle. I don't know how that happened, but I managed to do it. Then all of a sudden, friggin' Studio Series comes and says, hey, we're actually going to make him look just a little bit better. And I managed again to easily sell the Earth Mode one from before, but I just don't think that record's going to continue, right? Like, I was shocked that I've managed to sell those incremental Ironhides.
Ironhide was a real test for me.
It was. It really does kind of test your patience.
I wasn't going to get Studio Series Ironhide until you folks recommended them.
It's really good. Like Studio Series Ironhide is fantastic. And it's not even that the Earthrise one is bad, because it's definitely not. It's just this is better, I guess.
I don't like do it again in 6 months with Ratchet, so it's like, oh jeez.
But we did get that fill thing of we got Crosshairs that's not going to get a new toy.
And the Decius drone.
Oh yeah, we do.
And I have Shadow Glass and Diaclone. So I have versions of that mold forever.
You do.
Peter, I got 2 copies of Diaclone, 1 2B Shadow Glass.
I'm gonna
I saw your
actually
confusion. I wanted to clarify. I know you don't like Shadow Glass. I do. I know I'm just having a conversation with you when you're not saying anything. It's just we've known each other long enough.
I'm gonna bounce off you though, just because you mentioned black iron hides with red hands.
Yeah.
And I have an example of a black ironhide with the red hands, where this is the new age ironhide mold. And I brought this up as an example that this is actually even affecting Legends, because this is New Age's van from like 3 years ago, not the van from last year. The van from last year is closer to this look, and it's a nicer looking transformation than this kind of, he doesn't quite look exactly right. He's closer to the old MP than he is to a more modern take. So New Age has said, hey, here's an incremental improvement of our own figure. It's not like one of the other Legends companies replaced their van. No, they replaced their own van. So they're doing the same thing. Hasbro is.
I didn't know that.
And if you need to replace it, then you're trying to sell, I think the 2 I have are unique enough that I could still sell them, because I have this, and then I also have the weird
you got
taxi
the crazy colors.
ratchet. Yeah. I think these are both unique enough that they'd be fine if I wanted to replace them. I don't, but I'm just saying, like, it's there, right? Like, if you had to have the best Legends Ironhide and you had bought the New Age one, you would be in that pickle where you're like, shit, I have to buy another New Age Ironhide and then find some schmuck who's willing to pay me for the not as good Ironhide that's now been replaced. Tiresome.
And it's rough when everyone gets that new Ironhide. Using this example, everyone gets that new Ironhide, and then everyone's selling off their most recent retiree Ironhide. So now the market's flooded with this glut of last year's Ironhides, or last year's Trailbreakers or Mirages, and the Siege Earthrise Kingdom, like everyone got 14 figures per character or whatever. It felt like it sometimes, the Mirages and the, I don't know, Prowls and whoever, Smoke Screens and Barricades and all the Datsuns and Lambos and 84 characters. It was real rapid succession. Just, you like Ironhide? You like Ratchet? Do you like Blue Streak? Here they are.
I will never forgive Siege.
It's hard to forgive it.
It is. The whole line became redundant after literally 1 year. Like, here's everything again, the exact, like, 1 year later. Bloop.
Well, and like, okay, I've said this a billion times, but just in case there's new people out there, the Origins being the Origins jazz, that should have been Siege, and that makes Earthrise not redundant on Siege. Really go for the Cybertronian stuff. Don't do this halfway nonsense that you retool into Earth mode anyway. That was horrible.
But then again, we still have to love Siege because it did give us a few things that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Like that cartoon.
Six Gun and Cog. Yes, that wonderful cartoon.
Cog is the best character in that cartoon, so yeah.
But Cog wouldn't have gotten a toy otherwise. He definitely wouldn't have gotten that toy. And, the Cog and the Six Gun, those are cool toys, and they happen because of Siege. We also got our first commander that you just mentioned buying a new one of. We also got the Jetfire from Siege.
We got the Power Dashers out of the city bonus content guys.
Yeah, Siege calls those guys too. You guys are super pumped about the Power Dashers.
Yeah, Omega. It was Omega Siege, or was Omega Kingdom?
It was Siege.
It wasn't Earthrise. Yeah,
but like, even if it's not Siege, I think you still get Jetfire and Omega in whatever alternate line there could be.
The Rainmakers box, they haven't redone that, and I kind of don't think they will.
That's a good one. I had to keep that one.
Now, if they went back and made them more accurate to the cartoon versions, just like they did for Jazz and Bumblebee, then that would suck. But
Don't think that they won't. That's one that they can milk for at least 6 figures.
it is.
I don't think I would do that.
And man, yeah. No, that would get get us all so fast.
I don't think I would do it.
Really, no? That's
Yeah,
good.
really, no.
That's healthy. Your brain is nice.
I mean, I think I started saying this when we got to Kingdom, when we were almost done with 84, and we're still almost done with 84. But Ironhide proved me wrong in that particular instance. But I kind of think I'm done doing that sort of thing, at least for the most part. Like the Siege, Earthrise, Kingdom incremental upgrade stuff with the Netflix stuff. Also, it was just like, enough is enough. Like, Peter, I think I'll get the Bumblebee that you were talking about that doesn't exist yet. I'll get Studio Series Ratchet. But, like, do I need another set of Datsuns? No. Do I need another Trailbreaker? The panels on the arms aren't nice, but he looks good otherwise. Do I need another Wheeljack? Probably not. So I think I'm okay on a lot of those, and that's an interesting place to be. Of course, we'll see what happens when the rubber hits the road, but to at least be thinking of it, that's not a thing I used to do.
I think Hasbro knows that we're all starting to, I don't want to say age out, but we're getting impatient to a degree with the incremental upgrades, and they'll always be able to sell more stuff. It's not going to stop them from trying. And they're doing really well. They had their first quarter loss in however many years.
A lot of years. Not a lot. I mean, several.
It's been a while since they've reported a loss, so they're not going to change too much to right the ship or whatever. People are eating up all their products. So, but we are getting older. For those of us who are old like me and Phil, but Anna, you and Christian are right behind us, so But there hasn't been a lot of media to push these characters. There certainly haven't been comics lately. It's been over a year since everything stopped comic wise. And whatever may or may not happen in the future, there's no guarantee that they're going to deal with Trigger Happy or Kickback or hell, Ironhide. They'll deal with Ironhide, but you know what I mean. Some of these characters, they've got to get them out, and they've got to do the best version possible now, because no one's going to give a crap in 3 or 4 more years, because 45-year-old me and people like who've been, who were 15 in 84 that have been riding this, like I don't want to name names, but there are people in our community who are like 55 and up.
Like Rick.
It'd be nice. But they've been doing it since 84, and they've been wanting that perfect version of RC or whoever, and they still haven't gotten it.
When you were talking about that, getting it out now, that immediately made me think of the upcoming Studio Series Magnus. Because it's not like Kingdom Magnus is bad. It's not like Siege Magnus was bad before that.
I think it's going to be so angry because I'm going to like it. I already know. I'm going to see that thing and I'm going to be like, this is great.
Oh, me too.
It's going to feel superfluous because I have the Siege Magnus and I have a Masterpiece Magnus. Both are on different displays and both are good toys, but this one will probably look better than either of them.
It'll be fantastic.
And it will make me tired.
I love Magnus, so of course I'll get it for that reason. But why is another G1 styled Magnus coming out only 2 years after Kingdom? When that one didn't even sell that well, it looks like. And you can still get it online in a lot of places pretty readily. So why is that coming out now? Peter, I think you're onto something.
I wouldn't be surprised if the G1 stuff finally started slowing down after this next trilogy. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I don't really want to talk about it, but I do want to mention, I do think they are trying some different approaches to still get us in there. We just had that G2 Toxitron wave revealed in the last week or so. And that is such a weird thing, but I think it kind of shows like they're just trying something else to see like, hey, people talk about these things, will they actually buy them? You know, if we release a whole wave of Obscurios that haven't gotten other versions using molds we already have laying around, are people going to go for them? And I really do think it's going to work. I think that's going to be a strong selling wave for us.
Yeah. I have full faith that the scalper boys and the speculator boys are going to buy up everything like they did with the Velocitron stuff. My Walmarts still, I was at one of them today, have Wave 1 Legacy and all the first, all the deluxe Velocitron guys minus Clampdown and who's that UFO guy? UFO guy. Don't say his name. No, I heard that. I heard that.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, you can still find Scourge or Nemesis or Black or whatever, Black Convoy, whatever you want to call them. You can still find them floating around locally. So the speculator boys are going to pick up a lot of stuff, and then a lot of stuff's going to sit. I can see Orange Jazz, Gold Jazz, whatever, just sitting and rotting. That Walmart Beast Wave is still on the clearance pegs at $9 a pop, not selling at my local spots. So
if you don't have those for $9, go get them.
Go get them. They're good molds. They're good molds and fun decos.
Sorry about this. Like
my Prowler should be bluer, but that's okay.
They've really hit a fun nerve. He exists, and so will Funky Jazz, and so will Tiger Stripe Grimlock and all that.
Be up on Pulse tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern.
So go get them. But those aren't replacing anything really, unless you're talking about like club stuff for Toxitron, and that
right.
Club Toxitron was.
It's a totally different thing to me because that's a combining dude. He doesn't exist as Toxitron for me. He exists as part of Wreckage for me. And then animated Toxitron again. Like I said with Prowl, animated is a totally different thing. So we finally get Toxitron.
What was Club Toxitron? What mold was he?
Order Master.
What mold was Club Toxitron?
Combiner Wars Optimus.
Okay. That's not what I expected, because I see now that he's getting the Laser Prime mold,
which is what he was originally supposed to be back in Universe in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. So
but he didn't actually get to be that. Okay, gotcha. Now I understand, because he looks good like that. And I went ahead and settled and just bought, like, right before this got announced, I just went ahead and ordered the New Age version because I got it for half price. And the New Age version is just a regular Prime mold. Now, New Age's Prime mold is fantastic and I don't own it, so I'm fine with my decision to buy that. But at the same time, like, the only reason I don't have regret is how much I hate that Laser Prime mold, like the new one. I really do not like that. And what bums me out is I used to have Car Robot Scourge, right? I had that damn thing and I liked it, and I sold it because it was valuable and I was in grad school. And now I have to look back and say, like, I literally bought the stupid Velocitron one and I put it into truck mode and it's on the floor in the corner because I just dislike it that much, and I can't get back my original without spending a large amount of money.
Would you like
it's such a bummer.
Goat one? I can send you that one.
What's a goat one?
It's like clear and orange and silver.
Kind of, maybe. I don't know.
We'll
but I want Scourge back though. Like,
I'm not selling you my Scourge.
My old Black Convoy. No one should. No one should sell me that because it's so good. I was such a fool.
What about the fans' hobby Scourge? Would you like do that?
If I could, they put the cab on sale, like I think it was like last year in their like Black Friday sale, and just the shipping was so high that I ended up not buying it. But I want it. So like I think that could be my new Scourge. Like that's pretty much what my mind is looking for now at this point, is to find the fans hobby one for a reasonable price. Because I do like fans hobby stuff enough. Christian, do you just have one in your pocket?
I mean, it's upstairs in a bin, but
that's your pocket. Your pocket is the bed.
I mean, let me think about that one.
We could have a conversation.
I had a similar conversation with Peter last
Oh.
week and today.
Really an oven mitt, because I was trying to find something on my desk that you would actually want, and it's like the oven mitt was the most persuasive.
The Peter, you talked about something a few minutes ago that I want to come back to, because I feel like we've been mainly talking about mainline toys. And Peter, you mentioned the idea of, oh, such and such a new toy comes out, and then you see all the old iron hides go up on, for sale, blah, blah, blah. Like the amount what we're talking about right now that happens with masterpiece scale toys is just insane. Like this happens in terms of the selling the old version to upgrade at a phenomenal scale. It's so predictable, and it's so just one of those things that it's a meme at this point, because it is just rinse and repeat.
Unless you're not open to a third party. If you're not open to a third party, it doesn't happen as much.
We're seeing a little bit with the MP, official MP stuff. We saw it with Seekers, we saw it with Prime, we've seen it with Megatron. So it's one of those things that we get incremental improvement even on the expensive scale side of things. But if you're like okay, I want the best version out there, a Cliff Jumper, hey, guess what? I forget the version that was out before.
Oh,
well, Parkour is the new one.
Parkour is the new one, but you had Toro before from XTB, and you had whichever one was from MMC or Ocular Max or whatever. Then you had Tumbler Ace Tumbler. The less said about that one, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that anytime like Fans Toys comes out with something new, you see everyone selling off their old MP thing or their old XTB toy. And then every time a new masterpiece comes out, everyone's like, oh, I got to get rid of my Fans Toys version now. So that is that's obviously a collector community or faction in the community that wants the most accurate, the best engineered version that is out there. So they very much want to replace and upgrade all the time.
I see.
And I think what you just said, go ahead, Peter.
Go for it. I'm going to be long-winded.
Okay, I might be too, but I'll try to be fast. I'll probably be short-winded. I was going to say that I think one big difference with the MPs, like when I was saying, like, I bought all the iron hides and kept replacing them, and I kept selling them for decent amounts, and it was all good. The MP world does not work like that. Like when the new, well, okay, so the first Seeker mold, the first attempt at the Seeker was really crappy, and then the second one was a little better and didn't really replace in every collection. But what did kill the value of that, the Takara Seeker mold that was there forever was the Make Toys Meteor mold. Like when that came out, the value tanked of the Hasbro and Takara ones. And then the Meteor and his friends went up in value until the new MP came out and absolutely tanked their value. So it's like when the new cool MP sculpting comes out, it murders the value of the old toy. Like those older MP Autobot cars, they did not retain. They've all lost value to the point where they're not that great.
Those are all knocked off too,
in retaining values. They are knocked off, which hurts even more. For the Seeker mold, it's just because compared to the newer ones, it sucks. That old one, it was not great. It was a fine airplane, a very pretty airplane, not a good robot.
Agree.
Anyway, I'm done.
Peter, the Seekers are a great example. And that one, they at least triple dipped on everything. Whoever the manufacturer was, if it was Takara for the Masterpiece stuff, and then there were the Walmart issue ones and the Toys R Us issue ones, you got to triple dip. You got Starscream and Thundercracker and Skywarp, and then sometimes you get to go a little further and play with Sunstorm or Acid Storm or whoever, depending on the mold and the era. The example I like to use with the masterpiece engineering and masterpiece level stuff is Mirage. DX9 in 2014, I want to say, did Invisible, and it was a fine Mirage, neat, and everyone ran out and got Invisible. Okay, cool. He fills that spot, bloop, along with inaccurate Seekers and inaccurate so-and-sos, and not quite everybody's at the masterpiece scale. People were still subbing in alternators in 2013 and 2014, and then Ocular Max came out full force and released like 4 Mirages in 3 years. They did the parachute one and the clear left one and the clear right one and the all the way clear one and the anime deco one or whatever. And with each one of those, people were like, well, I've got to sell this and I've got to sell that and I've got to get rid of this and I've got to get rid of that. And then everything kind of calmed down for a minute, as I recall, until Transform Element. Was that the one? It came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it was by the same people that did, I don't know, one of the Primes, I think. They did one of those.
One of the Primes,
right around the time MP44 came out. And then everyone got rid of all their Sphinxes, their Ocular Max Mirages, whatever deco. Some people kept.
Not very valuable.
Not very valuable now. They were going.
Unless it's watermelon flavor.
The watermelon one, I had. That's the one that I kept.
Or like the Pharaoh one is up there still, I think, too.
For
Probably,
whatever reason, that deco that made no sense, but okay, if you like it, you like it, you know. It's interesting. It's one of those ones like, why are you okay? Sure.
They accentuated the Egyptian theme that was kind of
Sphinx name,
yep. And then fans toys did their thing. And then there was a run on people selling off all of their Transform Element Mirages. And then inexplicably in the middle of all this, I believe it was last year, about middle of 22, DX9 did a second run of Invisible. What? Why? There was I don't know.
But
I don't know if they found a pallet somewhere or if they did an actual like second factory run, but they were suddenly like back in stock at all the different stores online, and it was like, why is this happening? This thing is way too old to be doing this, and no one bought it. If you did, good for you.
I don't think they did the same with their Crasher though. You know, like they put out Invisible again, but they didn't put out the Crasher,
Kokomon?
Which is one of the Kokomon. I don't know if it's Kokomon, whatever, but she's one of like 2 options for Crasher, right? I guess 3, because you have that old the old Classics Mirage with the weird proportions. You have that as an option too. But there really aren't that many options for a Crasher. So you would think like if DX9 was going to re-release something that would be better, because I think she'd be in higher demand, especially since people are thinking about her more because of the new toy. They might want something that looks a little more like her, which the DX9 one actually does. So anyway,
the DX9
but the Mirage
purely be because now we got a Mirage in the movie, and you know
it could be that.
Ooh, that would be horrible if they tried to set that release to drop the same time that the movie was supposed to originally come out, and it didn't happen at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like if you look at the timing, that syncs up.
Oh, that's awful for them.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out Christian's face when I mentioned Classics Mirage, though, because that's a really good example of something that has definitely been replaced for accuracy purposes, right? There's been multiple more accurate Mirages now since then, but that is a unique toy, right? Like that is a very unique look, very unique build, very unique way it lives on your shelf that I'm sure a lot of people have kept just because it's what it is, even though it doesn't really represent Mirage as well, because its proportions are just odd.
I want to track down and get, and I've wanted them for a decade now, the Takara Overkill that's the repaint of Classics. Because, again, there's another toy that is a very unique take on Grimlock. Like, Grimlock, like, for all the Grimlocks we've had, they almost all have the same transformation. And that one did not. Like, his head turned, his T-Rex head turned into the feet.
Did not.
So, you know, I kind of appreciate that mold. I appreciate that it's different, and I enjoy Overkill as a character. So that would be one that it's like, okay, I can have a version of that mold, and instead of Crasher for Mirage, I have Overkill for Grimlock for that mold.
That makes perfect sense too. I know not as many people like that mold, but
Overkill's great though.
We need a new Overkill.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, Overkill and Slugfest.
We need more tapes.
Yeah.
Yep,
More
we need more
tapes.
tapes.
More
The
tapes.
third party Overkill and Slugfest kind of stink.
Depends on which ones you got.
I
They
would-
stink in different ways.
Oh yeah.
They do.
I don't even know the name of the version I have.
There's no winning with those third-party ones so far. You either have KFC or the other guys.
I have the KFC ones.
I don't remember the brand of the
I
other
don't remember
guys.
the names of the other
Overslay.
guys.
Neither do I.
So
If I ever a kid, I'm gonna name it Overslay.
So it sounds like we've got. I'm a character collector, so I'll keep all the versions. And to Paul's point, you get to see the evolution of the engineering, and that's pretty fun.
You do.
Yeah.
It is fun.
You have the folks that are mold collectors to Christian, kind of you do that to a certain extent. Where it's like, I don't care if they come out with a newer version of this. I love this mold, and I love how many versions and variations they have of this mold. So I'm going to keep all those. Then you've got like the one per mold collector that we kind of talked about, Anna, you falling into that a little bit. You have the people who are the one per character collector. You have some folks that are the one per character for mainline, but then they'll also have like the MP version. And then there's the folks that tend to just be okay, do I like this toy? I'll keep it even if it's been updated. I'll still hold on to it. I kind of find myself falling into that regard. I have gotten rid of more toys recently, but again, I think it's a symptom of you're getting more and more of the same stuff, so it is more easily to be replaced.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a burden we bear for being in it long term.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
if you really believe that these are still aimed at kids, kids typically won't have this problem. They
I would
are
like to
in,
bring
they
up.
out. That's it.
I would like to bring up a point. The boy has a tote of retirees. The boy has 5. Because we did counting not based on this topic. We were just goofing around looking at his collection this morning. He has 5 different Rodimuses, I believe. Going all the way back to the United 3-pack. He's got he's got multiple Grimlocks. He has the Black Mamba oversized Volcanicus, the official Volcanicus. He's got the Studio Series 86. He's got Voyager War for Cybertron. And when he gets a new version of a character that has replaced an older version of a character, like Hot Rod is the prime example. He got his United Hot Rod before he was really good at transforming things. And the way the chest flips down, he snapped the chest off. So that was pretty early upset. These things happen. So I glued them together, and then he was an Action Master Hot Rod. And you got to have a Hot Rod. But at that point, that was his only Hot Rod. And then he got successive Hot Rods. He got the one from Combiner Wars that was too small. He got and I explained about Star Convoy, and he was just like, okay. I'm like, this could be like new Micromaster. He's like, yeah, whatever, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. And he got the Power of the Primes one, the one that combines and does all the stuff. And he got he didn't get the Cloud one.
I forgot about Power of the Primes Rodimus.
Yeah, I mean, for kids on kid budgets, they're saving their allowances. They're asking Grandma, this one I want for Christmas or my birthday or whatever, and and then all of a sudden by the next summer they're replaced by another version of the same character. That's kind of a bummer. Kids, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 5-year-olds aren't going to be getting on eBay to sell their toys, or running a booth at the flea market. So they're kind of up a creek. So he has a tote full of retirees. He has boxes for most of them, and at some point he's going to set up, maybe at TFCon, and he's going to sell these extras and use them for money to buy whatever he buys, crack cocaine, or
what
whatever.
The kids are into these
for
days.
a growing boy.
It's what you need. It's what your body wants.
It's what plants crave.
Yeah. So yeah, we are not alone in the whole replacing things. I'm still waiting on my Brawn, though.
Thank you for getting that.
It did get me.
Oh yeah. No, I got it. I was just trying to figure out how to work it in. But we aren't alone, and it's got to be worse for kids, especially ones who like want to take care of their stuff and keep it in good shape. And what am I going to do with it now? I have 4 iron hides. I don't need this other one. I've got Universe Ironhide and Siege Ironhide and the other Siege Ironhide and Earthrise Ironhide and Studio, 86 Ironhide or whatever. List them out.
Even kids that aren't your kid, like your kid has way more knowledge of everything. Like just think of the parents and grandparents who are buying for children. Are they going to buy Crosscut, or are they going to buy? I've heard of Ironhide. I've heard of Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. Oh, you like Bumblebee? He's the yellow car.
He's the yellow car.
Bumblebee.
So I think by design, if you're a kid, you might have to end up with multiples of the same character. That's pretty crazy. I hadn't thought of it that way.
I was having some Bumblebee struggle the other day when I was playing with this. I was playing with my Cyberverse one. And I had struggle bee moments because I was playing with it and I started painting it to make it look better because it just made me feel better about the toy. But then I was looking at it, I was like, I saw pictures and I saw the stupid Pulse warehouse cell. I saw pictures of stupid new Earthspark Bumblebee, who is a character that I'm enjoying quite a bit in the cartoon. And I thought, man, that's just straight up better than this one. And that interpretation of Bumblebee is straight up a character I like more than this version of Bumblebee. This guy was okay once he started talking in the second season, but he's just okay. But the guy in Earthspark so far, I've really liked him, and not owning him sucks. So now I almost feel like I have to go ahead and get him. And what do I do with this guy? I've even painted him now, so now he's even more worthless. He was already worth a nickel because he's a Cyberverse Deluxe, and people don't like those on the aftermarket.
Come on, Anna, be one of those.
Painting have made him less valuable.
You need to be one of those naive people on the Facebook groups that think because they spent 5 minutes customizing a toy that it's now worth double because it's unique.
There's a point to that. I can try and make it. A lot of classic stuff, a lot of universe era stuff, a lot of that stuff did get customized. Whether it was part swapping or just straight up, like a simple kit bash to lots of cutting and dremeling and attempts to make it look this much closer to whatever. And you can't sell any of that. You can try, but you can't be upset when I've done Classics Mirage, but I painted the venti things on his hat and I've made his antler backpack thing a little bit smaller, it folds down now or whatever. You can't get upset when you don't sell the $10 toy that you broke for, more than $8 with free shipping because someone wants it for parts.
And I've seen certain things that are customized actually sell quite easily. If they're relatively rare or relatively in demand, people will just be like, I don't care if it's customized. Like at TFCon, this isn't a customization, this is a theft of accessory. I was actually selling my NPR Fire, which, finding it there, I was the only one on the floor for sale, I think. And I was selling my NPR Fire, but NPR Fire's Target Master is the best Target Master ever made. So I wanted to keep it. So I didn't have it in there. The person comes up to me and is like, I want to buy this. And I was like, hey, I just want to make sure, I put a pretty high price on this thing and it doesn't have the Target Master. They were like, I don't care. I need this. I have to have it. So that person probably would have taken a partially customized Art Fire because of how bad they wanted one, even if it was like some sort of dumb customization, not like a nice one that kind of made a mess out of it because it was just something they wanted so bad. So we've been really, really lucky with our ability to cycle things out. We've mentioned a few exemptions. Like I could not sell this thing for much value. I sold all my unwanted Cyberverse Deluxes, which were all the Decepticons, for less than I paid for them because they sucked. But we're generally pretty lucky with resale value.
Yeah, much better than like Black Series collectors.
Very much. Paul brought up something that I wanted to mention like 16 hours ago, and it's something that really hits me and actually applies to my point about Cyberverse versus Earthspark Bumblebee. They're both different characters, right? Like, I don't have to spoil anything about Earthspark to say that the character that is wearing the name Bumblebee in Earthspark is a slightly different version than there's really ever been of a Bumblebee. He's playing a different role, he has a different background, he's a different guy, but he has the damn name Bumblebee again. So, Paul mentioned that they're kind of, in a way, making us have to do mental gymnastics by using the same names over and over and over. Because like movie Bumblebee is a very different guy than G1 Bumblebee. The comic version is a different guy than either of them. Then the Cyberverse version was kind of sort of an homage to movie Bumblebee for a minute. Then he became an homage to G1 Bumblebee, but he was his own character in both places. And then Earthspark is his own guy. And Animated was definitely his own guy. And they're all freaking Bumblebee, right? They just keep using the same damn
Well, I think
name.
that was my point earlier when I talked about, what we went through in the early 2000s, where you went through RID, you went through Armada,
Yeah.
the Unicron trilogy, and then Animated and Prime. We got Optimus Primes in all of those. We got Megatrons in all of those. We didn't necessarily get Bumblebees in all of those, but we got Primes and Megatrons. And I don't think we as collectors minded that at the time. Now, granted, there wasn't the just breadth of toys that we have today, but I don't think people were doing the mental gymnastics because for me it was like I had an Armada shelf, and then I had a Energon shelf and a Cybertron shelf. They were small because those toys suck for the most part. And then you have your Prime shelf and your Animated shelf, and that was or display, and so that had its own aesthetic that they all fit together, and you would do that. And I think you can still do that with Cyberverse or with Earthspark. It's just those, unfortunately, those media didn't get a ton of toys, and most of them were okay at best.
Yeah. The that era where we were getting a Megatron and an Optimus in every single story that was significantly different, at least in design, was almost annoying to me because it was like, okay, so I had Beast Wars, and in Beast Wars, the fact that Megatron was named Megatron was explained. It was interesting. It was fun. And then they localized car robots, and that guy who is not Megatron is suddenly Megatron, right? And then Armada comes, and it's another new guy, totally new look, really interesting, weird green tank with pincers, fun looking guy. For some reason, that guy's Megatron again. And I remember just being annoyed by that because it's like, why is this still Megatron? It's a different villain. He's a new guy. I didn't keep naming the damn thing Megatron.
And in each one for the Unicron trilogy in particular, each one started each series as Megatron and finished it as Galvatron. Even in RID, but I mean in RID I was like, okay, before they imported it, I'm like, okay, if they ever bring this over, we're gonna have Gigatron, it's gonna be cool. And then it wasn't Gigatron, it was Megatron. Like you said, it was like, wait, what? No, you're doing it wrong. And then yeah, like the episode where he becomes Galvatron, he just screams out, I'm Galvatron now, the end, I'll see you next time. And it's like, what?
When we were watching those streams last summer, me and my husband saw that, and he was like, is that how Megatron always becomes Galvatron? Does he just declare it one day?
Basically.
Is that a thing in your stupid franchise? I was like, no, it's usually slightly more interesting than that, maybe sometimes.
He went in front of the judge, asked for his name to be changed, and then went and got a new paint job.
Paid the fines, or fees. Sorry, not fines. Although, actually, the live-action movies did it worse, right? Like, that was a worse way to become Galvatron.
It was a worse way to go back to being Megatron, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm here.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah, it's I don't know. At this point, this is just an older fandom. It's an older, we've got so many freaking toys. If you've got the space to display all of it and have everything up, and God bless you. I don't. I've sold off stuff. I think most of us as cast have started selling things off to buy things, that we want that are new, and hopefully find a good home for someone, for a toy that someone else will enjoy that I just don't anymore.
I've mentioned this on the show several times. Like, for me, it's not space, nor is it money. I'm fine on both of those things.
Oh, look at
I am
me.
just uncomfortable with the number of Transformers I wear. Okay, right. Like, I don't actually make that much money, but I don't spend that much either. Phil, thank you very much. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that, like, for me, it's just my collection has gotten bigger than I ever wanted it to be. So I have to keep trimming and keeping it down, but I don't want to quit collecting because it's so much fun to see what happens next in the toy lines. Like, playing with the new stuff, messing with it. I use the word playing because I do mess with my toys quite a bit and play with them. They're fun, they're enjoyable. It's a childhood hobby that I've never grown out of, and it's great. And I want to keep doing that, but that means I have to keep trimming. Like, even if I like everything, because this is more Transformers than I ever wanted to own, and this is like a tenth of my collection, not even, right? Like, I've got many more shelves all over the damn place in this house.
Anna, the real ironic
There's
thing,
so many reasons to
the
trim.
real ironic thing about what you're just talking about, Christian and I had the exact same conversation yesterday about our beards. We love our beards. We want to keep seeing our beards grow, but it's like I just got to trim it. It's just getting like I can't eat food properly without getting my beard in my mouth. So I have to trim it.
That's the point where you need to trim.
That.
Yep, you need to trim.
That was a connection, but geez.
I did trim this week.
I had my guy take care of it today.
So yeah, there's a lot of options for replacement, but I think we have to keep doing it. Like, I think we're just stuck with replacing as part of how you collect in this hobby.
And like Paul jokingly said in the chat, like speak for myself, Phil, like there are collectors like Paul who will buy everything, but they don't display everything. So even if you're someone like Paul, like Nick, like Rick, who do buy one of everything that's out there, that doesn't necessarily mean you're still making a decision at some point of what to display versus what goes into a bin.
And
if you can and want to keep it, it's cool to have it for archival purposes. I'm glad someone's doing it, because it's really tragic when things like music or video games get lost forever because they're not being kept in pristine condition, and then we lose them. We're running into that problem with a lot of NES games where it's like harder to find working copies because things degrade. So I do appreciate that some people are keeping these old toys in bins or boxes or whatever, because that way they are preserved.
So I don't know if there's too much more we can cover on this topic, and we've been going just about 90 minutes from when we were supposed to start, but I was late, so apologize for that, and appreciate everyone's patience. And again, sincerely apologize for Monday. With Monday not working, definitely ran into some issues with the software that we use for this. Anna, I do want to give credit to. Do you know the name of the person from the Discord who came up with this topic?
Catherine and I were talking about it. I think she thought I came up with the topic, and I don't remember having done it. So I don't remember exactly who came up with this topic anymore.
But it came from the Discord.
It came from the Discord conversation, and I think it came from one of the awesome people on the Discord conversation.
But the important thing is two things. Number one, if you like the discussion tonight, join the Discord, because this kind of conversation goes on all the time. Number two, it wasn't Zaldron's idea, so he can just go, jump in the river. And number three, smash that like. No. Like Zaldron's giving us crap about ideas, and it's like, hey, we took an idea from the Discord. It just wasn't Zaldron, so there we go.
No, I mean, and I think this was it was a good talk. Yeah. It was fun.
Lucas chimed in, for those if you didn't see it in the chat. Lucas chimed in to say he wanted to. He wished he could have been part of this topic. So yeah, thank you very much for
proof of life.
Yes, it is.
And
So
I feel like we can go on and on with this topic too, because like there are certain figures like I've run into like I've heard Christian and Lucas run into the replacement tornado before, where you find yourself replacing the same figure with the same figure again. And I ran into that with Punch Counter Punch like a year and a half ago when the new one came out, and I didn't like it enough. So I went back and got the old club one or whichever, however it came out, subscription service, whatever. And I was like, ooh, this will be the one for me. Then I took it out of the damn box, realized how small its head was. And I kept it for like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I gotta get rid of that. And then I didn't buy the next damn version of this one again, even though I had the first one. And then I bought this one. And it's just like the cycle of silliness.
Peter's Black Zarek friend there looks like something that a lot of people would have replaced.
Yeah, this is. I haven't opened my modern whatever series, Earthrise or whatever, Kingdom Selects,
technically
whatever.
it's Legacy, yeah.
I don't care. I bought this thing for $250 in 2015, and I didn't buy a second one, and I was sad because at that point I was still buying doubles of everything that I intended to open, but I couldn't afford 2 Scorponok's or Mega Zerax and 2 Black Zerax, so I got one of each. Opened up this guy just before I moved overseas for a little bit, and then by the time I got back, the Scorponok mold was like, there were rumors that it was coming, so it was like, oh, farts, I know I'm gonna have to get rid of you. And he's just a big vinyl, like, he doesn't weigh anything, he doesn't transform, he's just really pretty. He didn't even come with a Tyrant Spear, but he's my friend, and
but he is pretty.
He is pretty. I like his,
My friend.
He's big pointy this and pointy. He's my friend, but he's got to go.
Lots of cool pew pews.
Yeah, he's my So even expensive stuff. I'm never gonna get what I paid out of this. It's a giant vinyl figure. The Black Zerac, even with the kits and everything, is still under what I paid for this. So farts.
I was snarky with Anna in the text chain when we were talking about this earlier tonight, and like, what toys would you not replace? And I was like, oh, you mean like all my G1 toys? So yeah, we don't want to go down necessarily into that regard, but because that's what half of this is. Yeah,
we could. I know people that have replaced their G1 stuff with reissues because, well, this one's in better shape. And it's
that's
like,
fair.
I get that.
I actually kind of like that approach, though, as long as somehow the original G1 one gets preserved. Even if it was kind of beat up, like a collector buys it and puts it into behind glass somewhere, or someone keeps it, or that person keeps it themselves. Like, I think that's actually a pretty cool thing to do, because then you can display the not as valuable and not as pristine one, or not as vintage. You can display the not vintage ones and preserve the vintage ones so that they're still kept around. I do, like I said earlier, I do care about that record keeping part of it. Like, keep proof that these things existed, because history is important, even if it's minor goofy stuff like toys.
The early to mid 2000s, when the Toys R Us reissues and the book collection reissues were coming out, people were treating very shabbily their Gen 1 stuff in favor of the reissues. When the New Year's reissues came out around 2000, whatever, 99, 2000, the ones that were like, oh, Ratchet's finally available in a real package in Japan, yay! New Year's Convoy, and the Lambor and Alert 2-pack, and the Dirge finally gets his own in a box release because he was a mail away in Japan in '85. People were getting rid of their stuff. Like, I've got this vintage thing, but it's a little dusty. And you hear a crash in the background. It's like, I've got this new Japanese thing. Rip! It's cool. It made me sad. And it made me resent everything forever. Fast forward 25 years, and good show, everybody.
So, book club this week is, going to talk about books. I don't know which ones they are, but I'm sure you'll talk about it, and you'll have a club, and it'll be about a book. And hopefully Lucas will be back next week. I'm not sure what the topic will be. If we revisit Earthspark, hopefully we will, because there's quite a few of us in the cast who are giant fans of that show. If you're not watching that show, figure out some way to watch it. It is showing on Nickelodeon. I don't know if the new batch of episodes are shown on there yet, and obviously, maybe not obvious. It is the new episodes are on Paramount Plus. All 18 episodes are on Paramount Plus. Go watch it. If you don't like it, you're an old curmudgeon, and just bite me.
That's like my quick take home on that thing is like, yes, it's a kid's show. If you can't enjoy a kid's show when it's wholesome and positive, you should really reflect on yourself and not just the show. Because it's great. I love it so much.
Really, really fun. So a
Very
lot of
nice.
folks in the chat tonight. Let's take a few moments to thank them. We've got Paul Freemail. We've got Zaldron. We got Patrick S. Dave S. Patrick. I'm sorry. We've got Poopy Doopy, who I was specifically requested to say that name out loud. Anna, you were chatting as well. Thanks for that. Jose, thanks for popping in. Josh Griffin, thanks for popping in. And yeah, if I didn't mention you, I apologize for that. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming out. Lucas, Ron, thanks for listening, and tune in next week and smash that like and subscribe and tell all your friends and force your friends to like take their phone from them, unlock your friend's phone, and then hit the like button on this. Do it now. All right, bye everybody.